Hey friends, my name's Stevie Taylor. Welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. My guest today is Karen Lee Andrews. Karen is a soul singer and guitarist from Sydney. Some of you may remember her as Miss Murphy, finalist of Season 2 of The Voice Australia. We chatted about her early music influences, moving away from Wollongong to Sydney to study music, which led her to audition for The Voice, and the highs and lows of that experience, which ultimately turned her away from music. But with the support of a great bunch of friends, she's come back and created her best work yet in her new EP, Far From Paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Lee Andrews. Cheers. I think we're rolling.
Awesome.
Karen Lee Andrews, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sweet as. It's a lovely day in Sydney. Thanks for coming to my house and doing this. And awesome. So we're just sort of, you're preparing for a tour for your new EP at the moment. Yep. And how's that all going?
Right. Yeah, it's going good.
Yep.
We got our first show in Sydney at Lazy Bones on the 14th, and then we shoot up to Brisbane, the Milk Factory on the 16th. Then we've got a couple of festivals in between.
Yep.
And then the Grace Darling Hotel down in Melbourne on the 8th of December.
So it's just East Coast?
Yeah, it's just the East Coast tour.
Cool.
We're actually looking at going to Perth or Western Australia sometime next year, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll sort of run you up close to Christmas now? This thing?
Yeah. And then, a little bit of a break over Christmas, and then we get started again.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's cool.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a really good EP. I really enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's roll right back to the beginning. So you're Tongan heritage?
Yeah, my mum's Tongan.
Yep.
My dad's from New Zealand.
Yep. Where in New Zealand is he from?
Manukau.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Auckland, yeah.
I've only been there once, and that was when I was very young. So
sweet.
So they migrated to Australia. They had 3 boys in New Zealand.
Yep.
They came to Australia, and then they had me here.
Yep.
So
so you're born in Australia, yep.
Yeah, and then we grew up in Wollongong, which was nice.
Yep.
And then when I was 18, I just came to Sydney straight away, and
you came up by yourself?
I moved in with some family
friends.
up here, and just wanted to, experience Sydney life and music as well, and so that's kind of where it all began. Was when I actually moved to Sydney. And
so you weren't doing music until you got to Sydney?
I studied music at TAFE when I was 18.
Okay, yeah.
And then...
meaning not a musical family with guitars and singing and stuff around?
Oh, yeah,
sure.
Okay,
awesome.
Mum's family was very rich in their musical abilities, and like every family thing we had, it didn't matter what it was, music and food was always the dominating thing with us. And it was where I learned how to sing harmonies, I learned how to blend, I learned about tone. Because when you grow up in that singing with, really rich tones, and then you go somewhere else and you try to sing, it's like there's something not quite right, because you're used to a certain range or tonal quality, I suppose. That was kind of where I learnt a lot how to sing with people. And expression. So that was really cool.
Awesome. And were you playing guitar? in those early days?
No, I wasn't.
Later, yeah.
I played piano mostly when I was growing up, and I didn't kind of pursue anything with guitar until maybe I was, well into my adulthood.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, of course I messed around, like I played G, D and C and all that kind of stuff. Yep. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I kind of really took it a bit more seriously and pursued that.
Yep. And who were your early musical influences apart from family, obviously?
Earlier on when I was a kid, it was actually I didn't really have a chance to kind of listen to any secular music. My parents were very kind of strict with what we listened to and things like that growing up. Mm-hmm. But I remember my brother bringing home a Stevie Wonder single, and it was For Your Love, and I think I may have been about 12 or 13, and I just remember falling in love with this voice, and I didn't know who Stevie Wonder was. I wasn't kind of privy to the soul music scene back in the day, but sure. That's where I kind of fell in love with him and just wanted to sing like him and be like him. But you always try and attempt to do something that you really want, but then you kind of feel yourself falling short because this dude's awesome, I want to sing like that, and then you try. Yeah. So it's been a definite growing and learning experience for me.
Yeah, awesome.
But Stevie was definitely my first influence.
Yep. And did that sort of make you want to get access to other music?
Oh yeah, I just didn't know where to look because we didn't have the internet back then.
Yeah, of course.
And growing up in Wollongong, there wasn't much resources around when it came to soul music and things like that. So
what was the sort of scene? More rock sort of?
Yeah, more like Nirvana.
Yeah,
and, like
sort
that
of that
kind of
era. Yep.
Surf culture and all that sort of stuff. Which has its qualities as well. But it kind of didn't. It was soul music was a little bit more isolated. So we didn't really get an opportunity until one of my brothers went to Sydney, and then he could look around and then bring some stuff home. Yep. So it was on those rare occasions that we were able to access more music.
That's cool. So, yeah, that's really cool. And was it a degree you studied?
No, it was just a
like a
certificate.
Certificate for type music course? Yeah, cool.
Sort of thing.
No worries. Yeah.
I had to come to Sydney for that because there were no music programs down in Wollongong at TAFE or anything at that time. So Sydney was literally my only option to come pursue some kind of tutoring or course when it came to music.
Mm-hmm. And that would have sort of obviously opened you up to meeting new musicians and
for sure.
Start looking at other paths and
definitely. And when they talk about when they had a gig on and they went to a pub or songwriting and things like that, and just kind of opened my eyes a lot, rather than just me being by myself, and even like getting their sense of approval was a big deal for me.
Okay.
Because you learn by singing or playing with others. It's really satisfying, and it gives you affirmation that okay, this sounds good, maybe that doesn't work, but this sounds really good. Mm-hmm. So you kind of form your musical intellect a bit more through working with others. So when I got the opportunity to do that, I just kind of like grew like heaps in just learning, being comfortable as well with my songwriting and my musicianship as well. So it was great. It was a great experience for me.
Cool. And who were some of those people that you were connecting with? Do you remember? Those guys, is there any of those guys or girls that are sort of around the scene now?
They're in their own scenes. A lot of them were music teachers actually, but they wanted to pursue, instead of doing their own thing in schools, they wanted to actually just concentrate on their own musical abilities and do songwriting and stuff like that. But we're not in touch anymore though. I mean, that was like 15 years ago.
So, that's cool.
It was a long time.
No worries. And then at what point did the voice come along, and how did that come along? And
Well, I'd hit 30.
Yep.
And I had just invested the last 8 years of my life into church. So I didn't go out and pursue gigs and do the whole pub scene and stuff
so you
like
weren't
that.
doing that. Yep.
No, I dedicated my life at that time to ministry.
Yep.
And so it kind of locked me out a little bit. So when I thought about going out and doing, I just wanted to do some cafe gigs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so when I'd approach either booking agents or venues or anything like that, they didn't want me. So I felt a little bit like, oh.
Stink.
Yeah. I was like, oh, like, bummer.
Yeah.
But so going on The Voice was an attempt to try and just get my name out there so they could see, when they look up YouTube or something, then, oh, okay, it was that guy. Yeah, all right, we'll get her in for a couple of sets or whatever.
So it's like for your CV.
Yeah, sort of thing. Yeah, because
Yep.
I didn't have anything else, you know, and it was a risk if a venue had hired me and I haven't had any previous experience, sort of thing. So it was mostly for those reasons, just to get some gigs, local gigs.
That's cool.
But then it kind of evolved into something a lot bigger, and it surprised me quite a bit how far I got and how popular I became.
That would mess with your mind, eh? It's almost an overnight type of thing.
Yeah.
Because
I just kind of like smiled my way through it. Like a deer in headlights. Like, yeah, this is cool. I'm okay. Yeah. This is great. Because it was great. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was better than I had anticipated and what I had expected. And so to get it was, I didn't want to not... I wanted to be happy because it was such a... achievement, and it was so good, and everyone was really, really encouraging, but at the same time it was just extremely overwhelming.
I was going to ask about the pressure of it.
Because a lot of the other artists who went on the show had already had experience, gigging around and doing, their own like covers bands or their own original music or producing and or theatre, and I just came from church, so it was just, they were kind of used to some level, whereas I just wasn't used to it at all. And I'm not very good either in social situations. I'm not very I try to be, break out of my own sort of psyche, but sometimes I find it a little bit difficult in social environments. So having a lot of people have extreme opinions about how I sing or how I look or how I sound or what I said here or what I looked like there was so overwhelming that I can
imagine.
I had to lock myself out of social media. I didn't look at it, and instead my family and very close friends started a page called the Love Tribe, and that was the only thing that I could look at. I couldn't look at my own Miss Murphy side or a Facebook page or whatever. I had to just look
because
at this. People were like either really, 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 really nice or really, really nasty. And there was just no middle. And I wasn't used to that. So on the Love Tribe page, it was just a lot of encouragement, and it was, supporters, went from the Miss Murphy Facebook page over to the Love Tribe, and it was just them, and I could just look at that and felt encouraged and like, yep, I'm all good. So it was pretty tough, like trying to navigate my way through opinion, knowing which ones to take on board and which ones not to take on board, because it can get very confusing. And also flattery as well, when people are just giving you flattery and not really
big head.
You just can't distinguish what honesty is anymore.
Right.
It just gets to that insane point. But no, I was, aside from that, it was such a really good time at the same time, and it's something that I don't regret.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to do again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Like, yeah, that was a time, in my life, and I'm happy to leave it there.
Yeah, and if somebody came and asked you for advice, should I go on the show, what would you say to them?
If that's what they want to do,
yeah,
and then definitely just
maybe watch out for this and watch out for that.
Just be centered in your own mind.
Yeah, because that was season 2.
That was season 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of history behind it.
No, it's
so
just the first season.
First few seasons would have been. Yeah.
So but it was great. It's a great platform, and it was good.
Yeah, and then you did you tour with Ricky Martin? Did I see?
Did a couple of shows with him.
Yeah.
I did one over in Perth and the one here in Sydney.
Was that like a double bill type thing, or were you backing his band?
We were
in his band.
It was me, Luke Kennedy, and Kat, and Katrina Torres, and we were his support.
Support. Yeah.
Oh no, we weren't his support. We were just like featured in amongst his
got you.
concert. So
got you.
We'd sing a song with him, and that would be it.
That's pretty cool.
But it was awesome. Sydney was the best.
Yeah.
It was the best. It was like electric.
So where did you play?
It was the entertainment centre, I think.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. But it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because Ricky was your coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was my coach.
Yep.
Really lovely guy.
Yeah.
A gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
And kind.
Yeah.
And you need that when you're on a very high pressured
yeah.
show, and
you
just need a little bit of kindness, and it was great. I'd say that was the best quality of his coaching.
Yeah,
that was just his kindness.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. And from that, you did you release an album not long after?
Yeah, I worked with Lance Ferguson from the Bamboos.
Yep.
And we did a EP called White Dress in the Spirit. Wrote a couple of songs together, and did that in about a week.
Is that due to?
That was due to the
record
label.
Company pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like, working under that pressure?
Well, I didn't know.
I didn't know either way.
I didn't know either way, so I just thought that was the way it was.
Yeah, right.
To know when they were like, "Yep, you're going to go and record with this guy, and it's going to be done his deadline." I was like, "Okay," and then I was like, "This must just be how it is," sort of thing. And then, it was. I mean, it was high pressured and everything, but it was good too. Like Lance is awesome. Like he's great. He'll just sit at a computer and literally, like, pull everything together, and he'll just go, "Do you have any ideas?" And I'll just sing one line, and then he's like, "Yep, I know what to do," and then he'll orchestrate things together.
Yep.
And, so he was really, really good like that. So we wrote it in a week, and then we took a week to record it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sat on it for a little bit, for about maybe 3 months before we released it. And then
was that to try and get the timing right?
Yeah, it was just mostly about when the best timing would be.
Yeah.
Whether before Christmas, will it get lost in...
when everybody else's Christmas albums.
Yeah.
Michael Bublé had a new Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just wanted to give it the best opportunity that we could give it, and then we released it in the new year, and then we went away on tour, and did a sold out tour, which is awesome. Yeah. That was just so great, and we had a lot of good shows on that tour, and then I just kind of toured that for a while, and then it starts to get a little bit mushy after that.
Yeah, that's all right.
But and then we did the second EP, Stride. I recorded that with Jan. I can't say his last name because it's a long
difficult name.
But he's also produced for the John Butler Trio as well, and for Cat Empire, and he's worked with so many people, and We recorded that EP in a week as well, and then did a few shows with that one, and I think in between that all we got to play at Soulfest as well.
Yep.
Which was amazing. I saw Angie Stone and I kind of giggled like a little schoolgirl.
Yeah, she's great, eh?
And then
what a voice.
I didn't want to go up to her because I was too intimidated by her statuesque self.
Yeah.
Her queendom.
Yeah.
And then, so that was, it was just awesome to see them. Really, and D'Angelo and everything was just awesome. And then, did a few shows with that one, and then recorded Dirty Soul, which was a soul covers album.
Yep.
With Yarn again.
Yep.
And
were these songs you selected?
It was a combination
Yep.
with me and the label.
Yep.
They wanted particular songs,
Sure.
and I wanted to do some particular songs,
Yep.
and so we kind of, compromised and
Did
put
you
them
clash
together.
on any?
No, not really.
Oh,
It was
that's
just more like it was a conversation, I suppose.
Yep.
There was nothing kind of strict or anything, but it took a while.
Yeah.
That took a week
Yeah.
too. It was recorded live.
Yep.
So we only had certain windows because all the songs are really big vocally, so
Okay.
I can't keep singing them
I understand.
over and over again.
Yep.
So we could only do them in 1 or 2 takes.
Yep.
And that was.
And if it didn't work, try that one again.
Yeah,
Type
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So that was a lot of that one was actually a lot of pressure, because we had to do, I can't remember how many songs there are. It's like 10 or 12 songs or something, and we had to do them all literally in a week. We didn't have 2 weeks, one to kind of get ready and then one to record. It was a week.
Okay.
And that was it.
Yep. What does that pressure do to your voice? I'm just speaking from someone who doesn't sing, so I don't know what sort of effect stress has.
Yeah, it's it can strain your vocal cords a lot, put them under a lot of pressure as
Yep.
well. So a lot of ice water.
Okay.
It's just like another muscle. So
Okay.
when you strain a muscle in your arm or something, the
Okay.
first thing you do is put an ice pack on it.
Physio on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I'm sculling ice water to keep the cold on it, and it brings
Right.
down the swelling.
Oh,
So then
right.
I can sing again.
Ah.
But it's, I wouldn't recommend it,
Yeah.
but it's just what I have to do.
Got you through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to a gig last Saturday night, and I was side of stage. I was watching, and the singer, he had a hot jug on stage, and he'd come over at the end of every song and he'd flick the jug on, go back and sing, and then come back and he'd pour this hot drink and drink.
Yeah.
Just doing it all night. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has their own little...
Yeah. Just because you've gone from
do.
ice cold and he was drinking boiling hot water,
Yeah. It just depends, his voice, his throat probably needs that, but with me particularly,
Ice water, yeah.
because I belt a lot and I
Yep.
sing very big songs and
Yep.
stuff like that, I've got to bring the swelling down quite a bit. So for me it's ice water.
Yep.
We recorded that in a week, and I got to work with some really cool guys like Daryl Beaton and Daniel March and Yanya were on there as well, and Adam Ventura, and I had a whole brass section, and I had VBs and BVs, sorry, not VBs.
No, I know. Yeah.
I wasn't drinking, don't worry.
You're right.
But that was, it was like, as soon as we went into the studio, it was on, and then, and then it was over before we knew it. And,
right.
So that was really cool too. And then I decided that, that was kind of it for me,
Right.
doing, Miss Murphy. It was time, and,
Was it just you'd had enough of the whole scene?
I think,
or you wanted to you wanted to get out of the pressure, out of the light?
I think it was I think it was a lot of things, but I think the pressure at the time was a strain between me and my management at the time, and like the triangle relationship between me, management, and the label. Expectations and what we wanted from each other, but you know, there was a lot of finger pointing and a lot of blame. I mean, in saying that, like, don't get me wrong, I was so blessed to have a contract. You know, like, I was one of the older contestants. I had already recorded 2 EPs and a full album, which is more than what most of the voice artists have had. So I was really, really fortunate. Like, I was really blessed in that. But there were just some things that I think we couldn't work together with anymore. And I won't get into detail, but it was just more that we couldn't get it together. And the expectations of each other just wasn't right. You know, and a lot of failures, I would say, from one party in particular. But after that, I was kind of disillusioned a lot with the industry, and because I had no idea what the music industry was like, and it was only...
You thought that was just it?
Yeah, and then when I kind of had a few years in it, I just went, oh, it's not like that, it's like this. And reality kind of sunk in, and I couldn't see anymore. You know, I couldn't distinguish between certain things and what I wanted and what makes me happy. So I was very, very unhappy by the end, and I was ready to kind of like go, I don't want to do music like ever again, sort of thing. Just because it was too hard, you know. But then my best friend, who is actually my manager now, she was like, no, it's not happening. I'm going to manage you, and we're going to do this together, and you can take as long as you want, but you're going to write some music, and it's going to be yours. And you're not going to collaborate with anyone because you go a bit funny. So you're not going to be under a week, you know, pressure. You know, we'll get you whatever equipment you want. You know, if you need a new guitar or a new amp or whatever, we'll find a way to do it. We'll set up your own little studio and just take your time. And it took about 3 years. You know, the first 2 was just doing nothing. I didn't want to do gigs. I didn't want to write music. I wanted nothing to do with it.
So she said this to you after it ended? And then you sat on it for a couple of years? Cool.
And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, you know, she was my best friend, you know. And I was like, whatever, you know, sort of thing. But she was just kind of like a dripping tap, you know, and just constant, not nagging or anything, just more like a constant encouragement sort of thing. And then there was also previous musicians that I'd worked with, like Yanya. Yanya and Adam have been awesome in regards to like just gently just going, so how's it going? You know, like if I kind of drop off the radar for a while, then I, you know, what's up? You know, you okay? Sort of thing. So if it wasn't for Jess and for those 2 guys, I just wouldn't have pursued anything. So yeah, I took 2 years just not doing anything, and then it got to a point where all 3 of them just went, okay, that's enough.
Come on, mate.
Yeah, that's enough now. Come on, let's get something going. So yeah, I just started kind of writing music in my room and recording some stuff, and then I'd send it over to Yanya, and then he'd put a drum fill on it, and and then would send it back to me, and just so encouraging, and I just needed that at that time, and then it kind of evolved into, okay, now we're going to record, and it just developed very naturally. And then Ben Rogers produced it for me, and we were able to record it in Jimmy Barnes's home studio, which was just amazing. And that was all through Yanya too. And then we, because it's such a small EP, we knew what we were doing, kind of recorded it in 3 days. And Ben Rogers is just awesome. You know, he just kind of let it be what it is, but also kind of helped navigate it as well in a certain direction. And then, after that it was then like photos and graphics, and then it just really had a natural sort of process. It wasn't passive, it was very active. Like everyone was like really involved and making very conscious decisions how to improve something here, and okay, when are we going to release this? And it was all very thought out but very natural. And it was so good. You know, I didn't have pressure from the label if it was good enough, or it was just is what it is. And then I can just put it out there and people can decide if they like it or not, but I'm happy with it. And that was like worth everything.
Going back to label thing, you completely broken away from the label, or this has come out?
So when
you've just completely done this all by yourself?
Yes,
okay, awesome.
Completely independent.
Awesome.
I didn't have any financial assistance or no resources. So this was a lot of love and care from myself, but also from people who like what I do. So it was very soulful actually. So it was really good for me.
It sounds killer.
Oh, thanks.
That's really good.
It's the best one I think. So.
All the players. So who were the players?
It was Yanya Boston, Anna Ventura, Daniel March, and the Clayton brothers as well. So that was really cool.
Killer. Awesome. And you sang all the BBs yourself?
Yes,
all
I
the
did.
BBs?
Yeah. I tried to make them as simple as possible. Just so it's clean and easy. And that sort of thing. And going touring, you don't want to kind of hire too many people. It just gets too expensive. So they're great kind of lines for Adam and Yanya to sing, and anyone else who kind of joins in at any other time. But we've just got things down together and tight. It's great. It works.
And you're touring as a trio?
The Sydney show, we have a fuller band, so Raf will be joining us for that one, and so will Shannon Stitt.
He's a keyboard player.
Keyboard player from Uncle Jed. And for that one it'll be a fuller band, but for Brisbane and Melbourne it's just the trio.
Awesome. And sort of plans after that?
A little bit of a break over Christmas, which would be nice. But then we start again in February. But those are kind of on the down low at the moment. But soon to be revealed. So
Awesome. So is that more music, you mean?
No, more gigs.
Cool.
New music. I think we'll get there sometime next year.
Awesome.
Which would be good.
Great. Karen Lee Andrews, thank you so much for being on the Gig Life podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dig your story, love your music. I wish I could come to your Sydney gig, but it's the day of my daughter's birthday, so I can't. So
priorities.
But I wish I could come, but
no, that's awesome. Next time.
No, sweet, awesome. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Cheers, Karen.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.